around on that.
Okay.
All right. Oh, and then for like the thumbnail of the video, you know how there's like the screen grabs and stuff like that. Maybe get like a fist bump for the thumbnail or something like that, or a handshake, fist bump.
Like that?
Or we gotta pause it to make sure that we can get a good grab. Perfect. That's awesome. All right. This Raj Shukla. Shukla.
Yeah.
Sweet. This is the official Daily Cardinal interview of him. Coming at you live on YouTube.
Oh, the pressure.
The pressure, no pressure at all.
Okay.
You want to just introduce yourself?
Sure.
And just kind of talk a little bit about, I don't know, where you came from and
Sure.
how you got here to
Sure.
running for mayor.
So I'm Raj Shukla. I am running for mayor because I think I am feeling a lot of what a lot of us are feeling, have been for the last couple of years. We're at this moment right now, politically and as a society, where we're dealing with these enormous problems, many of which we as a species have never dealt with before, whether it's climate change or the growing inequities in our community and across the country, racial, social, economic, or the fact that we have an administration in Washington and 2/3 of a government in Madison that's against the values of this community, that's actively working against things like social equity, things like a clean environment. I felt like we needed leadership that could bring people together around really difficult issues, and that's what I've done in my career. That's what I've done as a civic leader. I chair a city committee. It's called the Sustainable Madison Committee. It is tasked with making sure the city adheres to its environmental standards. And I started there about 4 years ago as chair, and since then we have written legislation, passed it through Common Council, gotten it signed by the mayor, committing the city to 100% renewable energy. I want us to get there by 2045. That's a big part of why I want to be in this race. And we did it, I'm proud of what we've accomplished on that committee, but I'm more proud of how we did it. We brought people from the utility together with environmental activists, together with students, together with seniors, to talk about really difficult challenges and figure out the way that we could meet our obligations to meet those challenges, and do it together, and everyone find what the shared goal was and everyone move forward together. I've done the same kind of thing in my career. I'm the executive director of a statewide water policy group. We work on educating legislators, helping them write good policy around clean water and water access. We help people get involved in politics. We teach people how to lobby their legislators. We teach them how to organize locally to make sure that their county and local governments are doing the right thing by water.
Yeah.
And we do it by working with people that are Republicans, Democrats, conservatives, liberals, finding common goals, finding shared goals, and then working together to meet them. That's the kind of stuff that we need to do right now to deal with really difficult issues like housing affordability or expanding transit or dealing with racial inequities. We need leadership that is able to be creative, it is able to be collaborative, and has a record of actually making progress on this stuff. So I have put forward what I call a green growth agenda for the city, and it's my way of saying we can have economic development, we can have the kind of growth that we're seeing. More people are going to come here, more businesses want to locate here. It's a beautiful city. That's a good thing. Helps fund our schools, helps fund our infrastructure. But we have to do it in a way that's environmentally responsible, and we have to do it in a way that is socially equitable. And we've laid out a plan on how to do that, and I'm excited to get to work on it. So
cool. Love the sound of that. You have talked about 100% clean energy for this city. And, I just kind of want to hear a little bit more about the plan of that and get into a bit of the nitty-gritty if you can.
Yeah.
Is it done through, high non-clean energy taxes, or is it, through subsidizing new clean energy sources, maybe a little mix of both?
It's actually, it's less about sort of financial incentives and more about transitioning our bus fleet and our cars at the city government and then build to electric power that's powered by solar and wind. And and building out the infrastructure so that people who own cars can charge their electric vehicles too, and at the same time helping the local utility expand its renewable generating sources. So that means helping them find space to put in solar arrays near the city, or to put in wind facilities to power the city, that kind of thing. But it starts with conservation. It starts with making sure that the city and homes in the city are using as little energy as possible. Then what energy we are using should come from renewable sources. And then from there, investing in solar and renewable generation, like actual new generation for the city. We can't, according to the city attorney, there are real hurdles on implementing like a carbon tax or something like that at the city level. That's largely a state or a federal level kind of thing. Mm-hmm. What I think we could do, though, at the city level is kind of do an internal carbon tax. So like price it into how the city operates. So you have someone in facilities who wants to go to a conference and they got to take a plane or something. Well, we will tack on, maybe, this is kind of how it could work, we could tack on an extra fee that accounts for the carbon that's created in that. And it kind of depresses how this will work, and other hundreds of companies have done things like this, some city governments. How it'll work is it'll actually like reduce energy use, like it'll give people a signal to use less energy in the city government too, and it'll incentivize finding different ways of doing the things that we're doing that are more environmentally sound.
Mm-hmm. Great. What do you think the chances are? It's like pretty likely that we could do that 2030 for Madison, 2045 for Wisconsin.
Absolutely. We just issued a report on how to do it by 2030 for the city government. 2045 for the city is a huge, huge lift, but like this is what we all need to get very comfortable with. Like the science is telling us we have about 10 years to figure this out if we want to preserve society as we know it. And that's a heavy thing for people to wrap their heads around. It certainly is for me. I have 3 little girls, right? Yeah. And you guys are not that far from how old they are. It's a big lift, but we have to do it. We have to figure it out. It is absolutely going to be very difficult, but we absolutely have to be single-minded in the way that we focus on that goal and make it happen for our health, for our economy, for each other, for kids. We just got to do it.
I agree, not to get political, but I think that we might need to do a little bit more.
I'm running for mayor, man. You can get political.
We might have to do a little bit more than raking the leaves in the forest.
A little more.
It's possible.
A little more. Yeah.
Right now, the Wisconsin littering fine only goes up to about $500 for regular litter and can go up to $1,000 for large furniture and appliances. Mm-hmm. Do you think that the littering fine should be raised to just something like a lot higher, just so like people realize, oh, maybe I just shouldn't do this if it's scarily high?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know that I've considered what is this sort of research telling us? Like, is it effective to raise is that what's causing people to litter or keeping people from littering? You think implicitly that it might be, but I'm not so sure. I think that maybe there's another way of approaching littering, and it's sort of finding ways to help people reuse stuff.
True.
Or find it, like, I think about on, what do they call it here? Hippie Christmas. Every August, right? There's all sorts of stuff on the street, and some of that becomes trash. A lot of it, though, can be repurposed, and I'd like to figure out how we can do that, and maybe how we can help people who have a lot less get a lot more out of the stuff that we would normally just sort of toss away.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Definitely makes a little more sense. I don't know. I always thought that if you just raise the littering tax to like $10,000 or something like that, then no one's going to be littering because that's a 5-figure fear of that.
Right. Maybe.
That could also have some repercussions. Hindsight. You've talked about bus rapid transit, but I really want to know more about that because I'm an avid bus rider.
Yeah.
Love the bus, and I would love to hear how it can get a little more rapid.
You're an avid bus rider. You love the bus, right? It's
Huge
really
bus
easy.
fan.
You don't have to pay a fare, right? It's
No
in
fare.
your student fees.
Oh yeah. Bus pass.
I think that the city should go towards a fare-free system eventually.
Really?
This is going to require us to sort of change how we pay for buses and change how we pay for transit. But I don't believe a $2 fare should be what keeps someone looking for a job and to getting to a job interview. And right now, that's the system we've got. We made it easy for students to ride the bus, right? It's convenient, it's safe, you get service quickly. You don't have to pay the fare, you can just hop on, hop off, right? that is something that everybody in the city should have available to them. I think it would speed up service. It would take the time out from like people getting on the bus and doing their thing, and like fumbling for change and whatever. So service would be sped up. I think it's a more equitable approach. And there are countries that are already doing this. Luxembourg just like did it. It's fare free transit for everybody. There are other municipalities that tried it. But in order to make it work, you need to find ways to bring housing and make housing a much more dense and tight-knit situation. So you have, taller buildings in some case, buildings that are closer together, where more people are located in closer proximity. So it's a more efficient way to operate a bus system. Housing and transit are like tightly linked things. In order to make your transit system really efficient, you need really densely populated communities. And in order to, and with densely populated communities, you're going to be a shorter distance from things, right? And that's why those two things are really important to work on together. Bus rapid transit itself is a pretty heavy lift. It requires some money. It requires some engineering. It requires a lot of time. But like right now, the pockets of people in this community that need jobs aren't connected by transit to the parts of the city that are where the jobs are exploding. And that's a broken system to me. Mm-hmm. So we need to figure that part out. We also need to figure out things like bus rapid transit. That basically what this means is the buses are a little longer and they operate on our roads a little more like trains in that they're dedicated lanes. The lights work so that like, oh, it sees a bus coming, you get a green light and the bus can keep moving, that kind of thing. So there's a little bit of fiddling with stuff and that costs money. But if we want to grow as a community, we have to be able to transport people to jobs. We have to be able to get people to and from daycare or whatever it is really efficiently. And so it's an absolutely vital area to focus on immediately.
I love it. Sounds good to me, yeah. Would the buses by any chance even go like hyperspeed or anything like that, or is it just more buses, longer buses?
It's more buses, longer buses, better signaling and stuff like that. I mean, you don't want to create a situation where like there are buses moving super fast on a road that's not designed to handle there people walk too.
Could be dangerous.
Yeah, you don't want to add in unsafe situations. So no.
Yeah, gotcha. Makes sense. You're an avid biker, I've heard. I also bike, but not as avidly. I don't bike to work every day, most days. And you're pushing to keep Madison very bike-friendly as an entire city, right?
Absolutely.
So add 5 miles of extra bike lanes.
And this is like, look, there are so many dynamics around this that are important to consider. There's an environmental dynamic, certainly. Like, you're just getting cars off the road and you're getting pollution out of the air. Good, right? But there are other sides to this. There's a social equity side to this. Like, I can hear the two groups of people that bike all the time are people who are lucky enough to live close to downtown and lucky enough to live close to bike trails and things like that. And then there are people who can't afford cars, right? Making sure that people who can't afford a vehicle still have opportunities to get to and from work or to and from whatever in their life safely is a really high priority. So giving people as many options as possible to move around that don't pipe them into a really expensive way of doing it, like a car, is absolutely essential from a social equity perspective. There's another side to this, though. If you look at where obesity rates are highest in this city, it's in those communities that are closest to the freeway. Those two communities that are most isolated from the rest of the sort of active transportation system. It's like we have created a scenario where people who are isolated from all of the amenities that many people downtown really enjoy are also in a less healthy situation. And we've done it structurally. So I'd like to change that, give people more options, allow them different ways of staying healthy, making sure the environment's taken care of, and reducing costs for themselves.
Cool. Just also a little side note on that, as part of the unicycle community, I was wondering if you have a political stance on unicycles using the bicycle lane.
Oh.
Even though they only have one wheel.
I think they're shared, most of those are like shared lanes,
okay.
People can walk on those too. So,
really?
Well, not in the, are you talking about the university like University
Yeah, like
Avenue
those ones
thing.
where it shows a bike on it, not a unicycle.
I think it's way more an issue of how fast you're going than whether or not you're on one wheel or two wheels.
Okay.
So if you're going dramatically slower than everything else, then you might want to use the sidewalk or another way of doing this. But I think unicycles, you can go at a nice clip for the most part.
Yeah, you can get your speed on them.
Yeah.
Tricycles, too. Do you think if they're going fast enough, they should be allowed, or are they taking
Wow,
up?
you're really going deep on the policy here. I think I would really want to set up an ad hoc committee to talk about it.
Fair enough. I respect that answer. It's a deep issue. It's not something I expect you to just whip out an answer to.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you really pushing the envelope on these questions.
You got to ask the questions that are pretty tough.
that the people want to know.
It's just part of my job.
Just alienated myself from the tricycling community in Madison.
Wait, there are dozens of us that you must watch out for, okay? It's a dangerous segment of the population. We ride hard, we ride fast.
Yeah.
Balance of supporting the vital services of the police department while also improving accountability is something that I saw in one of your policies. And I was interested to know about that kind of cool balance that you plan to find.
The city's a growing place, and the needs that we have around policing are changing. And I don't see really a path around, given that there's so many more people that are going to be here, there's so many more communities that are developing. I don't see a path around, the police force is going to grow. But I do think that the police force, with the right leadership and with the right principles employed, can maintain a respected position in the community and can actually strengthen relationships with parts of the community that have been strained recently. I do think increased accountability is really important. I do think that making sure that we aren't communicating with the public through the police chief's blog is a really important thing. We have to be respectful to everybody at all moments, and that is the job of a public servant. You don't get to be snippy, and you don't get to gripe about the public. I mean, that's my feeling on it. And I do think that with more accountability, more transparency, more training around de-escalation when you're in a tough situation, I think we can do a lot to improve relationships here. I also think it's really important to make sure that the voices of those folks who feel most marginalized in this system, who feel most ignored, who feel most at threat of abuse, that those voices are included in decision making. Not only those voices, but they must be voices that are heard. People have to understand that the community is listening, the community is hearing people's concerns, and that we're taking into account the whole range of feelings on this, because it does not make sense to me to ignore the pain that people are feeling in this community. And whether or not I immediately understand that pain or have lived in it, I need to make sure that we try to.
Yeah. So. Makes sense. One of your other statements is focusing on kids day one, not grade one.
Absolutely.
Cool.
So you all go to school at this amazing institution, and we have some of the most preeminent researchers in the world on early childhood care and the impact that early childhood care, birth to 3 services, can have on a family and ultimately on a child as that kid goes to school, and ultimately on a community as you think about things like crime rates and you think about poverty and stuff like that. If we focus services on kids 0 to 3, when the vast majority of every human's neurological development happens in that period, it's like between 80 and 90% of your neurons are generated then. If we can focus services around those kids, especially the kids who are in most jeopardy right now or in the most vulnerable place, but I think every kid should have access to these kinds of services. It means stuff like nutrition supports. It means stuff like literacy supports. Is a kid getting read to? It means stuff like job training for a parent who maybe just needs some help stabilizing their home. If we can provide those supports, the research says we can shrink achievement gaps later on. So it's really, really important. And I was first introduced to this concept because of my daughter. My oldest daughter has Down syndrome. And because of her diagnosis, we were given access to all of these different supports for her and for our family. We saw how it worked with us, and we're really lucky. We're lucky people. that should be something that's available to people who maybe don't have the resources that we have, and who probably have needs that are far greater than ours in some ways, and far greater than my daughter's were in some ways. So I think that is something we have to do. That is not a part of the city budget right now. It's not a part of the state budget right now. It's not a part of the federal budget right now. We will have to build that here in Madison. We'll have to arrange the partners. We'll have to come up with a plan. We'll have to find the resources, the money to do it. And that is what I do as an executive director at a nonprofit. That's what you do. You come up with ideas. You figure out how you're going to hold yourself accountable to the goals. You figure out how to get the resources, and then you make it happen. So that's what we need to do on that issue. It's really, really important.
Great. Thumbs up from me. On the website.
You're very agreeable.
An agreeable guy at the end of the day.
Except for the unicycle thing. But
still holding a bit of resentment on that. You said I had to go fast as the bikes. Very hard.
Faster!
Okay. On your website, you have something that says that people should be having more art in the parks, and then also it should be easier for people to create art in their own homes.
Yeah.
I was curious about that.
There are rules against artists using their own homes to create art. There are. On the books right now. Well, there are rules that say you have to have a separate space in order to create your own art. I think the world is a very different place, and in an environment where housing and space are at such a premium, we should give people more flexibility on how and when they create art for the public or for themselves.
Yeah.
You should be able to do this. So I think that those are the types of rules that we should modernize and make them so flexible so that we can encourage as much art as possible. When the things that make cool cities, I think, are when you go to a place and your eyes kind of light up because there's color and there's something exciting to look at and there's something interesting to think about. It's that like feeling of wonder that you have when you go, to a beautiful place. Madison has a lot of those things. We should be encouraging that in this community. It's what makes this place special, and it's what makes a lot of us love it so much. So I'd like to find whatever way I can to do that.
I had no idea that was a law. I feel like a lot of other
kind
people
of goofy, isn't
really
it?
have no idea. Yeah, and breaking the law by painting in my kitchen once. Maybe.
I don't know if it's quite like that, but it's like commercial stuff. Like if you sell your art.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Still whack, but
yeah.
Wow. Okay. Can you hear the thunder? Because it's time for the lightning round.
Ooh, wow.
You excited? Are you down for a lightning round?
I was about to start singing the song.
Which song?
Thunder.
Thunderstruck or a different one?
No, not AC/DC. I'm thinking, what's Imagine Dragons?
Oh, I think I've heard that on the radio,
song. Yeah.
but I can't play.
It's like 2 years old.
They got that one, Radioactive?
Yeah.
It's Radioactive?
Yeah, my daughter likes it.
Yeah.
But
all right. Lightning round.
She's 10.
She's 10?
Yeah.
It's a good time for Imagine Dragons. I was really into that back then, too. Do you have a favorite type of tree?
Do I have a favorite type of tree? I just remember growing up, and there was this willow tree it was in a park nearby, and I just thought it was so beautiful because it was a combination of like tree and it looked like rain at the same time to me, and it was just the most beautiful thing. And I always remember just sort of lying up and looking at it and thinking, yeah, this is cool.
It's a cool tree.
There you go.
I like that. Have you ever purposefully grown a mustache?
No.
Or a mustache?
No.
Never?
No, it's
once.
a bad idea for me.
Yeah,
I think other people should do what they do, but
You can be objective about it.
I think it's an objective fact that I should not grow a mustache, yeah.
Same boat here from what I've heard.
Yeah.
Should Bucky Badger start wearing pants?
No, I don't think so.
What about overalls?
I think Bucky Badger should do what makes Bucky Badger happy, but I don't think that we should be forcing Bucky Badger to be something other than what Bucky is.
Let him go buck naked. There we go. Fair enough. Real side note, do you think that at least the Pillsbury Doughboy, he should start wearing pants? He's only had a hat on, not even a sweater.
I'm not an objective observer here because the Pillsbury Doughboy just generally freaks me out.
He's horrifying.
Just a little creepy.
Terrifying, yeah.
So
I agree. What's your favorite thing to recycle?
my favorite thing to recycle?
For me, it's like aluminum.
Why is it your favorite?
I like the sound that it makes.
Oh,
Clanking
sure,
around in there.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm kind of into foil for similar reasons.
Fair enough.
Although, yeah.
Cool. Do you own AirPods, or do you have, like, wired earbuds for when you want to listen to music?
I have, like, Bluetooth. Yeah.
Bluetooth ones?
Yeah.
Cool. Living in the future.
Yeah, I'm kind of like that.
There you go. Least favorite subject in school growing up?
Ooh. Least favorite subject in school?
Yeah.
So I was one of those kids who was not into making art projects. Like, I like art, but I really hated, like, now cut out a gingerbread person, and so I would always, like, try and convince my friends to make my art projects for me. So I think that counts.
Yeah. You've really come around, though. Now you're trying to make art legal.
No, I'm trying to help other people make art.
Yeah, there you go.
It's all the same.
It's a 180 in the right
very
direction.
Consistent.
As mayor, would you put a ban in the city? A lot of people really want a ban for this, for Crocs. Those rubber shoes with the holes in them. No?
No, same Bucky principle. I think that you should do what you want to do. I mean, I think that I would want to talk to my friends about it.
Yeah.
But
would you consider, like, a referendum type situation where if the people speak out against Crocs, only like 2%? No.
Okay. I don't think that's. I think that's government should keep its hands off your Crocs.
Team Crocs. There we go.
Well,
it wouldn't go that far.
Team people.
Team people. Can I ask if you own any Crocs, or is that...
I do.
Okay.
I don't wear them in public.
The camera. It's got that on
and
camera. We can cut that part out if you want.
They're very comfortable. But, you know.
I used to own a pair. I can't deny it. Can't lie. Very comfortable shoe.
They're inside shoes.
Yeah.
For me, though.
True. Yeah. Public Crocs.
Why is this... What's up with the Crocs thing?
The Crocs? The people want to know. I had a lot of write-ins.
The people?
The people.
Really?
Yes.
You had a lot of write-ins from your student listeners?
We had, number 1,328
like, hey, to students out there, you don't want to get involved in a conversation about questionable fashion choices, because in 10 years, just trust me on this. Don't go down this road.
That prompts me to ask, is there anything that you see us 20-year-olds wearing that you're just like, why? Why is that a thing?
It's